All right, Coach, you're coming off for the community, maybe the biggest game of the year, but for you guys, just another game on the schedule. Coming off a 2014 win at the Panda game, but already looking ahead to number one team in the country, Laurier. Maybe take me through the last 48 hours for you and the team.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy, ups and downs. The guys have been pumped up since the win on the weekend there, and gave them the day off. After that, we got back in on Monday. They came in, we watched the film, and then told them after that, when we get to practice this afternoon, you know what, we put that behind us and we got to really focus on our opponent ahead, which is Laurier.
Two teams who run very similar offenses, you and Laurier. Obviously, there's some connections from your coaching past there. What do you expect from that offense? We saw your defense step up huge at the Panda game. What do they have to do to take that next step this week?
Yeah, what they got to do is continue to communicate, know their assignments, their alignments, and go out and execute. I thought they did a good job. We had moments in the game on the weekend where we weren't communicating well, and we dropped some guys and made some mistakes. But that's going to happen in a game. But hopefully against Laurier, you can't do too many of those. They got guys and playmakers across the field, and Todd does a really good job with them. Offensively, so we know we're going to have to make sure we're on our P's and Q's and know exactly what we're doing going into this weekend.
You talked to me offline during the week last week about how important it would be to get points out of your defense, points out of your special teams. How big was it not only to get those defensive stops, but to get a punt block touchdown at such a key time?
Yeah, it is important, right? Special teams can play a big part of the game, and they've been doing a great job for us this year. Coach Mack has been doing a great job with these guys, and that was one of the things. We knew going in this game they were going to be a really stout defense, which they were. We knew as an offense we had to stay on the field and move the ball and get into those positions, but if we could get turnovers or get something out of our special teams, we knew that we could control the ball, and that was our game plan going in, and we were able to execute that.
It's a time of year where people start talking playoff picture and people start talking playing at home, playing on the road, getting ready. But you're 3-3, and this is only your 7th of 8 games. How do you keep the guys focused on what they have to do this week at Laurier?
Listen, this one's like last week, right? The game's going to speak for itself. This team, Laurier, they haven't lost in, 2 years to an OUA team. They're on a roll. They know what they need to do. They're a team that's been in the Yates Cup, been in the Vanier Cup. So for us, knowing that we're playing a top team, that if we want to get to where they're at and get into the playoffs, we got to make sure we're executing at a high level. So we got to make sure all 3 phases are really clicking for us this week. We got to minimize our mistakes. We had a few mistakes last week, throwing the pick, gave up some big plays at key moments in the game and stuff like that. But if we can limit those mistakes, it's going to keep us in the game, give us a chance to go out and win. It's their senior game. We'll get 1 practice in, maybe 2. It's a long travel. All those things are stacked against us. But I told the guys this is going to be a really good week to test our mental preparation, how we're going to do that moving forward for the rest of the season.
You mentioned 3 phases of the game. If there was one part that maybe wasn't at its best this week, the offense only scoring 1 touchdown, going 1 for 2 on 2-point conversions, what does the offense have to do to be more consistent?
I think we just got to continue with us. We wanted to end every drive with a kick. That was a big thing for us, and we weren't able to do that last game. Limit our 2-and-outs and doing that. Let our defense rest, and I think we were able to do that last game, so I was happy with that. After talking to the coaches, I think we ran the ball. We had 29 attempts and only 25 passes, so we were trying to control the game with that. And they were a good defense, and we know we're going against a good defense this week. I think we got to capitalize when we get those chances. When we take our shots, we got to make sure we capitalize on them. This week, last week, we missed, I think, 2 big shots we were trying to take, calculated shots in the game. But if offensively, and then when we get down to the plus territory, we call it the money zone. Other teams might call it the red zone, but we got to score. We got to come away with 6 instead of 3.
Talk about special teams and things too. We know Jake Henderson's the athlete of the week this week. Gabriel Pizza athlete of the week. Saw what Joel did, but the third player that your coaching staff picked as a player of the game in the Panda game is Joey Chandra. Just maybe a thought on how accurate your punter was.
He was awesome. Joey, given the distance he was kicking, the hang time allowed us to get down and cover a really explosive punt returner who, we got one going into this weekend who's going to be very explosive. But he placed the ball perfectly. I saw a couple of times where Denny caught the ball and he just ended up running out of bounds and stuff like that. So with the way Joey was kicking, hopefully we can continue that for the rest of the year. It really flips the field. So even offensively, when we want to end every drive with a kick, he's able to flip the field. We got great cover team, and that helps us out.
And just to get away from maybe the game for a minute, I'm sure everybody wants to know, where's Pedro at?
I don't know. Pedro was down here in the office. They were allowed to see Pedro for a couple of days. Now, since we're focused back onto Laurier, we've moved on. We've moved Pedro out of the locker room, moved him upstairs. I think Yolana has him, or somebody has him. Marketing might have him, and doing a few things with him across the university. So hopefully the students across the university get to see Pedro, and we'll go from there. But I'm not quite sure where Pedro is. We're not worried about Pedro anymore. We're worried about Laurier and the #1 team in the country.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck.
Thank you very much.